inspiring confidence, you know that?
Yeah, that too.
Unlisted and unforgiving.
What position would you prefer?
1-888-69 Bubba.
Yeah.
We're back to the Bubba the Love Sponge Show.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. When you're strange.
The Bubba the Love Sponge Show. I got a big-ass meeting today over at Beasley, and it's all good. Man, so now they're talking about doing some marketing because we're just blowing up.
That's all we need.
Blowing up,
That's
kid.
the final piece of the puzzle.
And they get it.
Nice.
Bruce and Brian. They're meeting with Tom, and I'm meeting with Justin today. Excited. Thank you. Thank you, more importantly, Tampa Bay and the surrounding communities for making us as successful as we've been. We've only been on for, let me see, January, February, March, like 3.5 months. And Tony Ortega is on hold. He appeared in the HBO, the new thing on HBO now called Going Clear. He's also been a long time blogger and I should say, smart ass and I don't know, just trying to get the word out as to how shady Scientology is. Most radio hosts won't even cover this subject because most people are scared of Scientology.
And I think he probably has run into a lot of different instances where they've tried to stop him from.
They probably trying to kill him.
Telling the story, yeah.
Tony, you're on the air with Bubba. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Great, Tony. Now, years ago, God, it might have been like maybe circa 2001, we had Jamie Kennedy, was the great-grandson of L. Ron Hubbard.
Right.
We had him in the studio, man. And, Manson, do you remember like Dan DiLoretto and Clear Channel were getting a whole bunch of pressure from the Scientology even before we had them on, and then they were killing us.
Oh, that's what they do.
Yeah. So, Tony, now you've been a long time, critic of Scientology. I think it started, and if I did my research right, as early as 1995 when you wrote for some place in Phoenix was kind of when you first fired your first shot. Is that right?
I'm a journalist. I've been covering Scientology for 20 years. That's right.
In 1995 in Phoenix might have been your first, I don't know, maybe the first layer of your onion that you've so successfully peeled back. Am I right on that? 95-ish?
95 in Phoenix, and then I moved back to L.A. where I'm from, and I was writing about them later in the 90s. And I ended up at the Village Voice for several years, and now I'm just writing about Scientology, my own website, TonyOrtega.org.
So your website and is that where your daily blog is as well?
Yeah.
TonyOrtega.org. If I'm correct, you might have been the first person ever to call out, I think arguably one of the most erratic but yet popular sheriffs in America, that Joe Arpaio guy from the Phoenix, Maricopa County. Everybody kisses his ass and he's very heavy-handed, but I think you actually are the first one to ever call him out too, did you not?
John Doherty had a piece before me, but that was my beat for 4 years. I covered the Sheriff Arpaio beat from 1995 to 1999, and he's still there.
Did Joe ever say that little son of a bitch, I'm going to get him? Because that's the way Joe is. Joe's Wild West. You being critical of him and talking about some misappropriation and things like that. Did he ever try to screw with you? Because that's how Joe is. He's old Gunsmoke kind of deal.
Well, some of the people inside had said he'd made some comments about he talked to the Vice Squad about trying to catch Ortega with a hooker, but I don't patronize them, so it never happened.
We got Tony Ortega. You can go to TonyOrtega.org for more information. He does his daily blog. He's very critical of the Scientology deal. Scientology, obviously, Tony, we're in the Tampa Bay, Clearwater area. I think this is where all this nonsense started, is it not?
Well, it's not where it started, but it's certainly one of the most important sites in the world. Scientology invaded Clearwater surreptitiously in 1975, calling themselves the United Churches of Florida, and they, took over downtown and turned it into the ghost town it is today. And yeah, the two places in the world where there are actually the possibility of running into a Scientologist on the street are Los Angeles and the Tampa Clearwater area.
Now, which ones have they? I think for years the world headquarters was always in Clearwater, but I think that now L.A. is the world headquarters. I think probably because of all the celebrities and things.
They split it up into different types. The Los Angeles, the international management headquarters is a secretive compound east of L.A. Los Angeles itself has kind of the administrative world headquarters. What you have there is their spiritual headquarters.
Oh, our spiritual.
That's where the highest level courses are offered. And Scientologists, if they want to do OT, I think it's OT 4 through OT 7, OT 5 through OT 7. They have to come to Flag. They call it Clearwater Flag. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. The only place you can get those courses is in Clearwater.
So in order for you to become Flag, as they say, in whatever OT level that you just said, you got to be in Clearwater to get that level.
That's right. And so Tampa Airport, it's a busy destination for Scientologists from around the world. They have to go there if they want to do these.
Now we have an e-meter. Somebody gave us an e-meter, and the Church of Scientology. We've kind of bragged about it and take pictures of it and the whole 9 yards, but they want it back. They want it back so bad, but we got one. We don't know how to work it or nothing. To me, it just looks like a voltmeter that, it doesn't even look like it does anything. It looks stupid to me, but we got one of the newer ones. Did you know that?
You have the new Mark 8? That's awesome.
I don't know if we got the Mark 8. I don't know which one we have.
Yeah, we may have like a Mark
6 or
7.
something.
I don't know.
Ours is probably about 6 years old.
It's blue.
But somebody ripped it off out of there or had one, and they gave it to us, and we've boasted and kind of poked fun and put pictures on the air of us holding the two little soup can like cylinder type deals, and they get so mad. It's not a wonder they haven't bombed our building, to be honest with you.
Well, you're right there in the belly of the beast.
I mean, do you think that they're mad about that? I mean, you think they've had any high level secret meetings and say that fat ass Bubba's got an e-meter? How do we get it back? I'll sell it to them.
They do not like it when e-meters show up on eBay, but there's not really anything they can do.
Manson, maybe we should sell it to them. I'd take what, $500 for it?
Shoot, go
I mean,
higher.
they convince their members to spend $5,000 for one, but you can see that it's probably got about $100 worth of parts in it.
If. So now, so as a member, can you buy one and then take it to your house? That's how we got ours. I didn't know if we got ours sneaked out of the church or some member have it, but they may make you buy it for $5,000 at
$5,000, and they want you to buy 2 of them because you're supposed to send one back to get tuned every once in a while, and you got to have a spare.
Oh, you got to get it tuned. Anyway, Tony Ortega on the phone. He was in. Tony, you were in the latest HBO series, Going Clear. What was your role in that? Did they just basically interview you as being an expert on this deal?
Well, it's Alex Gibney. He's an Academy Award-winning director. He got together with Lawrence Wright, who wrote the fantastic book Going Clear. And then they got 8 prominent former Scientologists to tell their stories. And then they brought me in as another journalist to kind of put some things in perspective. And Alex asked me, I think the key question Alex asked me is, what makes Scientology different than any other religion? Because all religions have strange beliefs. And that's when I got to explain that it's not so much the beliefs, it's the bait and switch. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, they're pretty upfront about what they believe. I mean, day one, you're going to understand the basics. Scientology doesn't tell you about these invisible alien beings you're going to be exercising for $700 an hour until you've been in for 7 or 8 years. It's that sort of this basic deceit that I think is one of the big problems of Scientology.
So, but what inevitably, let's say some jobber off the streets walks into the Scientology building and he says, I'm interested in Scientology. Do they feel they got a live one on the hook right there? And what would they do is basically just suck you dry and shake you out of every penny you have through all this therapeutic type deal, continually chasing something, this dream of clearness? Is that kind of like, if you were to break it all down, Reader's Digest or fourth grade, simplistic, is that kind of how it goes?
Well, it's very gradual. I mean, the first thing they're telling you is just that you've got problems. I mean, they have you take this personality test, and it always turns out you've got major problems, and they have answers for them. And so that, some people are intrigued by that. Keep in mind, only a small percentage of people ever get into this. But that group of people decides, yeah, this sounds good. They take a course, and they start out with the idea that it's just your communication skills aren't good enough. You need more confidence. It sounds very.
And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, Tony, at the end of the day, anybody, whether it's the most successful person in the world or the most insecure person in the world or the most craziest person in the world or the most non-crazy person in the world, you can always find some type of something wrong with this person and make them believe that they need help, right? No matter who you are.
Absolutely. That's part of what the film is about, is you have Paul Haggis, who's this accomplished Academy Award-winning director and screenwriter, and he got into it because he had a relationship issue. He was in love with this woman. It wasn't working out. He wanted help with it, and they said, we can help you with that. He said, great. So, I mean, in Scientology language, they call that finding your ruin. They want to find that button to push, so that they can get you starting to learn what they call technology.
Now, isn't there a 99? By the way, I got Tony Ortega on the phone. You can go to TonyOrtega.org. He's a leading expert of Scientology, or how crazy and weird they are. He's on the latest HBO series called Going Clear. He's got a daily blog about this. Is it true, Tony, that 99% of people that join Scientology end up leaving Scientology? Is that true?
Well, yeah. I mean, all groups like this have a certain amount of churn. There's always going to be certain people that come in just for a short time and leave. But what's interesting about Scientology is how many long-time loyal people are leaving now. And it's shrinking. I mean, Scientology relies on people becoming very enthusiastic, investing time, investing money. But, they make all these promises about what you'll ultimately achieve, which are basically superpowers, and it never delivers. And eventually that wears people down and they leave. But there are people who end up dying in Scientology who never leave. I'm not going to say everyone leaves.
Now, what about the celebrity deal with Scientology? The John Travoltas, the Kirstie Alleys, the John Travoltas. I'm sorry, the Tom Cruise. What's that all about? A lot of people have speculated, and I don't know if you guys have actually. I'm sure you have, that they get dirty secrets on these people and hold them over their head. What's your spin on that?
Well, they in the 70s and 80s they were pretty good at finding celebrities. In 1955, L. Ron Hubbard had actually announced Project Celebrity and put a bounty on celebrities' heads. If you could bring a celebrity into the church, you would get a small bounty. And over the years, in the 70s and 80s, they got pretty good at it. They're having a harder time today. The younger celebrities in Scientology tend to be people who grew up in it. But for some, there was an attraction. They got into it. I think it's because Scientology is very narcissistic and very inwardly focused, and that appeals to actors. But when you're doing these auditing sessions, they write everything down. And in Scientology, they believe that e-meter is infallible and can tell when you're holding something back. So they give up everything. They give the most intimate details of their sex lives. And the auditor's writing this all down, and they keep that in files. And so, yeah, in the film, Alex makes the point that for some of these celebrities, they're trapped because they can't. If they come out, they know that Scientology will start releasing that information to the world, which they have done to other people.
Now, of the three big ones, the three most famous, and maybe there's more. By the way, Tony Ortega on the phone. You can go to TonyOrtega.org. He's got a daily blog. He's kind of the expert about how goofy and crazy and scandalous the Scientology whole big deal is. HBO currently has a new thing out called Going Clear. Tony's part of that as well. Out of the three, are the three big ones Kirstie Alley, John Travolta, and Tom Cruise? Are those the big three? Is that the trilogy of celebrity kind of right now?
Isn't Will Smith one?
Those are the ones that get mentioned the most. Yeah, I mean they're the ones that have been.
Now is Will Smith one?
Vocal.
Is Will Smith a Scientologist?
No,
he's a swinger.
Will dabbled in it for a while. His wife got into it. They opened a school that used Scientology ideas. But my best reporting suggests that he's out of that now.
So now, out of the three that I mentioned, Tony, who would be? Is there like reports from within the reports in the world that you live in, the inside, the moles, if you will, of the three? Which one would be the most likely to get out? I think it would be Kirstie Alley. I think she would have the least likely, repercussion of stuff. She has.
So far, all three of them have proven to be just really dedicated, and I don't see any movement from any of the three. But if I had to choose, I think you might be onto something with Kirstie.
Yeah, she's kind of getting in shape. She needs to get a guy. Like if Kirstie Alley was to go out with a guy and he didn't believe in Scientology, can she go out with him? Like, what's the rules with regards to like when supposedly Tom Cruise was a Katie, his old lady?
Katie Holmes.
Katie Holmes.
Yeah, Katie Holmes. Supposedly she left. Maybe you know more about that. Supposedly she left him because she didn't want her little daughter, indoctrinated into this craziness. Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, when Katie first got together with Tom, she did her best to get into Scientology. She actually took courses. She wanted to be part of Tom's life, but then she got out of it, and she left when Suri was 6, which is right about the time that Suri would begin to start getting the Scientology training. So I think that definitely had a lot to do with why she decided to leave then. But of course, it's hard to know why any couple breaks up. So I hate to assume that that's the only reason, but the timing suggests to me.
Is it like the Crips?
To get Suri out of there.
Is it like the Crips and the Bloods, blood in, blood out? I mean, do people make it out? Like, I mean, like she kind of made it out, but do people make it out? And, you know, if a guy makes it out and starts going, you know, starts talking about it, do they have they ever put pressure on you? Like, you obviously are one of the more outspoken proponents.
You know, Scientology's still operating from L. Ron Hubbard's playbook. You know, he's died and they can't change anything. And his edict was never defend, always attack. And so when people leave and start talking, they're swarmed by private investigators.
Manson, I think I might be part of L. Ron Hubbard's deal. never defend, always attack. I like that.
That's you.
I like that. So have they, Tony? Have they ever attacked you? I mean,
in the movie, I normally don't talk about it too much, but in the movie, Alex Gibney asked me about it, and so I talked a little bit about.
Well, I mean, don't make me go watch the dumbass movie, Tony. I mean, come on, tell me. I mean, like, have they attacked you? Tony Ortega, by way on the phone, you can go to TonyOrtega.org.
What they do is they hire private investigators to get into your life and find ways that they can destroy you, and they've done it to most journalists that spend a lot of time on
Manson, maybe all the haters aren't based on account. Maybe they're Scientology.
Maybe.
Man, Tony, just help me out on here. Does Scientology have a Twitter or something?
They do.
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they're good at it.
How do they recruit? Like, you know, do they have, like, down there at the local job fair, they got the Scientology booth? Like, how do they recruit?
They're having a harder time because of the Internet. What they do is they just set up a booth on, you know, a busy street corner and say, here, have a free personality test. And that's that first hook in to get you interested.
So when you give so like
that's
literally
how they get you to,
go ahead, 25. I'm sorry.
Well, like in Ybor, they have like the storefront for the Dianetics books. And what he's saying is true. Like they say they ask you about a free personality test.
I need to go down there and really screw with them.
Yeah, you go in and they you know have the e-meter. They ask you about any kind of stress in your life. And then from there they basically continue to talk to you and linger until you buy a $20 Dianetics book from them and then sign up for classes. That's how they usually do.
Maybe we could send Tuttle. Manson, let's send Tuttle.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, Tuttle, that's what you're going to do, Tuttle. We're going to sign you up for Scientology. What if somebody like our show tried to, you know, infiltrate and put one of our weirdos in there? Would they let him in, or what happens there, Tony?
Well, this happens all the time. Journalist goes down and takes a test. They take him to the
try to get embedded into the deal.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, people have done this a lot, and they always come out and say the same thing. It was creepy. You know, I mean, they do their best to get into your head and get into your life and find out what's going on.
Man, Tuttle, they'll have a heyday with Tuttle, will they not?
Once you give them your information, you're going to get their mailings for the rest of time.
If Scientology is about freedom, then is it true that they don't let anybody in Scientology go to the internet? So, like, John Travolta can't go to the internet, or Kirstie. Is there different rules for John?
They tell them not to.
Are there different rules for John and Tom and Kirstie than there is for, like, Tuttle when he signs up?
Yeah, I mean, as Paul Haggis says in the film, they claim that they want you to think for yourself, but as soon as you get in, they tell you exactly how to think. And they do not want you on the internet.
Yeah,
and it's a snitching culture, okay? If you dare to look at the internet and you see some things about Scientology and then you tell somebody in your own family, they will run and tell Scientology and get you in trouble.
What?
Yeah, there was a lady who...
So it's dry snitching, right, 25?
It's dry snitching. There was a lady that it happened to her, and they told her that she needed to cut ties with another church member, and she didn't do it. So she was talking to her daughter about it maybe a week or so after. I watched the movie a little bit,
right?
That I was able to catch. I'm trying to watch the rest. But as she was talking to her daughter turned around and said, I need to disconnect from you. And she completely cut her mother off.
Yeah, that woman had to make a decision between her. The church forced her in writing to make a decision between her son.
Sounds like my family reunion.
And her daughter who's still in the church.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, why did is there a big controversy as to how L. Ron Hubbard died? Is there? I mean, like, you know,
he was on the run when he died, wasn't he?
Was he on the run when he died?
He was in hiding for most of the rest of his life, and then between 1980 and 1986, he was in complete seclusion. He was living his last couple of years. He was living on a ranch in California. Was he that were taking care of him?
Was he wanted?
Well, he knew that if he was available, that he would get pulled into various civil lawsuits and possibly criminal prosecution. Yeah.
So they just kept him, like, you know, Howard Hughes out somewhere at some cowboy ranch, and nobody knew where he was?
He was on a cowboy ranch living in a motorhome, and he was very Howard Hughes-like. I mean, he was bad shape.
No, like,
and then he finally died of a stroke in January 1986.
Like David Mayo, isn't he like the CEO of the whole deal?
David Mayo was a top technical person who defected and then started his own shop in Santa Barbara and became the subject of an intense retaliation scheme by Scientology.
Who, like the CEO? Like how much money? I mean, are they all making a ton of money? Is it like a reverse Ponzi deal? Is it a Bernie Madoff deal? Like what is it?
The person who leads the church today is named David Miscavige.
That's right, Miscavige.
And he's been running it for the last since 1986. And as the film explains, by 1991 or so, they hadn't been paying their taxes, and they owed $1 billion tax debt, and they didn't have that money. Scientology was on the verge of being, going under, but they somehow bullied the IRS enough to get tax status. So now they're worth billions.
Now they're worth billions, right?
Yeah.
Because they got the tax, because they're which that in itself is a problem that we have within our country, and the tax exempt status for religious places, and that this place is religious.
They're not paying taxes. They pay their workers between 6 and 40 cents an hour, and then they have these millionaires that just hand over money in donations.
Now, why don't you think the HBO doc reached out to Katie Holmes? Do you think that maybe
I'm pretty sure Alex reached out to Katie and she wasn't interested.
Well, maybe
they reached out to a lot of people.
She probably signed. Probably part of her exit agreement with Tom Cruise was the fact that if she wants her $1 zillion, she's got to not say anything about that. Wouldn't you think, Pry?
I think it's a good assumption.
Tony Ortega, you can go to TonyOrtega.org. He's very much a proponent of busting the Scientology balls. Does Nicole Kidman, or did Nicole Kidman know about the wiretap allegations on her phone when she was married to Cruise? Supposedly the Scientology people wiretapped her and wanted to know how ironclad she was. Have you heard that?
Yeah, that's in the film that Marty Rathman says, his job was not only to make Tom Cruise a more gung-ho Scientologist, but also to drive a wedge between Tom and Nicole, which led to them splitting up. And while he was doing that, he said he was curious. He wished her phone could be tapped. And when Rathman told that to Miscavige said, "Get it done." And so they hired a private investigator and had her phone tapped.
And probably find out she was talking to that country guy, Keith Urban, on meth.
More than likely,
wanting to get rid of this numbnut. What's that, 25?
More than likely, yeah. I mean, that's what it said basically in the film.
Is that she was reaching out?
Yeah. Well, no, that basically, what he's saying, that they had all of her stuff, tapped. So more than likely, he probably did know about it.
Remember when Cruise went on the Oprah show like in 05 and like flipped out and went on and like got up on her, like did a tiger crouch on her couch? Did he get in trouble by the church? I mean, because that's certainly not good for the church. Everybody equates Tom Cruise with Scientology.
He was doing that on Miscavige's orders. And 2005 was such a strange year because Miscavige was successful in making Tom gung-ho again. Tom fired his longtime publicist, hired his sister, and then he went out to become the ambassador of Scientology. So when he was jumping on Oprah's couch and then he was getting in that argument with Matt Lauer, he was really doing what David Miscavige wanted him to. But Miscavige is so clueless about the rest of the world, he didn't realize that it would completely backfire on them.
Do you think that Miscavige and Tom Cruise are lovers?
No.
I'm just asking.
No.
I mean, might as well throw that out there.
I think any reporter that really covers Tom Cruise seriously and knows his close people, they will tell you he's not gay. Those rumors are bull.
I don't think John Travolta's gay.
Well, then you're crazy.
Well, I met him. I met him at Bubba Raceway Park. He seemed pretty cool to me. And even if he was gay, I don't care. I like the guy.
Everybody that knows him well that I've talked to said he's one of the most wonderful people in the world they've ever met, and I don't doubt that.
I listen, man. The guy couldn't have been any more nice and cool at a dumbass dirt track than what he was, and I got no problems with him. I like the guy. In fact, if he wanted to go gay with me, he could. I don't got a problem with it. I'm just saying. I think I just weirded Tony out, as a matter of fact.
He just hung up completely.
Tony Ortega from TonyOrtega.org. Tony, what else do you got for me? What did I miss? I think I pretty much got it all, don't you think?
Well, look, the celebrity stuff is fun, and the weird e-meter stuff is fun, but it's really important to keep it in mind that the way this church stays in business is through things like child labor and imprisoning its own executives, and it's just, the FBI was investigating them in 2009, and then they dropped the probe. And I think it's time somebody took a closer look at this group.
Now, let's say you go to the Scientology building down there in Clearwater, and you sign up, are you supposed to quit your job? I mean, like you hear horror stories from people that have defected that they want all your money, that they signed their house over to them or lost their house to the bank because they remortgaged it 44 times.
They take over your life.
That they're living in some little 350 square foot apartment there in downtown Clearwater. Is that the progression of how things go?
Well, eventually, yeah. I mean, not at first, but if you become, there's different. You can either be a public or you can work in the church. If you're just a public and you're going to courses, the big pressure you're going to feel is donations, and it's incredible the amount of pressure they put on people to mortgage their homes.
But what if you don't got any money? Like, what if you literally don't have any money? Like, listen, I can only pay for these books. I don't have.
They're not interested in you. Then they're not interested in people that don't have money. They're not interested in people that have disabilities. This is like the opposite of what you think of, and when you think of a church that tries to help people that are not well off. Scientology only wants people with money.
So if you roll up in there and say, listen, I want to take this course and I want to take that course, I want to buy this book and I'm going to buy that book, but I work my ass off and I don't have any extra money to donate to the church. I only have enough money to be able to buy these books and take these courses. Are they going to basically quit you and tell you to get lost?
They'll get creative. They'll find a way for you to beg the money from your relatives, or They will actually help you apply for new credit cards for you to max out.
So they'll have like a credit card stuff right there to help you fill it out, and so get full white trash, cash advance, and give it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked to Steve Mango. When he was there, they had 10 Scientology staffers surrounding him, each with an iPad, all applying to different banks at the same time, because the banks can tell if you apply more than once in a single day. But if you do it all at one time, it's too fast for them. And they did all that to find him new credit cards so that they could then.
So they take 10 people and they have all their iPads and they get all the information. They say, okay, ready, 3, 2, 1, hit enter, blam.
Yep.
And then they hit it. Boy, man, that's taking white trash credit card deal to a whole other level, right?
It's a good business model.
And it really is.
Banking.
But for the average person, and not talking about Kirstie Alley or Tom Cruise. By the way, Tony Ortega, he's a huge blogger and has all types of things about how crazy and creepy Scientology really is. It's in our own very backyard. We all know and heard of it. HBO's got a new thing called Going Clear about it. Tony's in it. But for the average person, the average person gets shook down and they lose everything. And what do you really have, and what are you really trying to become? You're trying to become this ultra clear person and be on this particular level because of what? Because you go when you die, you go see Xenu, or what's the final frontier? What's the final payoff? If I give all my money, my house, I'm on the highest level I can be. What am I to be expected? Super godlike powers, more bitches, what?
Scientologists believe that each of us is a Satan, an immortal being that's lived countless times. But something in our minds called the reactive mind prevents us from seeing that. Scientology counseling removes that, and then you can see your inner true nature. But then the higher levels allow you to get even more in control of your abilities. You become an operating Satan. The ultimate aim is that you can become a Satan that can leave your body at will, perform things in an ethereal state, affect matter with your mind, and ultimately you're going to end up ruling a planet of your own or something someday.
Manson, they ought to find people that have these beliefs and think that they're there and incarcerate these idiots immediately.
Have you reached out to Leah Remini?
Yeah, I had a quote from her on my blog about a week and a half ago.
Who is she?
She's an actress as well. She just got out of Scientology.
She's an actress from King of Queens?
Yeah.
She hot?
Yeah, you don't know who she is?
Right, and so she's got out. She got out?
Yeah, she was since she was 6 years old, and she left in the summer of 2013. I broke that news, yeah.
And what does she say about the whole nonsense?
She hasn't said a whole lot publicly, but she's got a really fascinating story for how she finally began to sort of see the light. She was at Tom Cruise's wedding and realized that that Miscavige was Dave Miscavige, the leader of Scientology, was Tom Cruise's best man, and they were in Italy for this wedding with Katie Holmes, and Miscavige's wife wasn't with him, and she started asking questions. Where's Shelley? And she, they gave her some very rude answers.
Back to my original question when you got mad at me. I asked a question that goes hand in hand with this right here. Remember, you got mad at me, Tony.
Miscavige's wife went missing in the summer of 2005, almost 10 years ago now. No one has seen the wife of the leader of Church of Scientology. She was only allowed out for a couple days in the summer of 2007 to go to the funeral of her father. I know where they're keeping her.
Where are they keeping her?
It's really amazing that he's been able to make her disappear.
Where are they keeping her at?
Very secretive compound near Lake Arrowhead in the mountains above Los Angeles.
I mean, is she free to go, come and go, or they got her under lock and key, you think?
Well, after Leah Remini defected, she called the LAPD and filed a missing persons report on Shelley.
Right.
They went and checked on her, and she said that she was fine. And so I think she's resigned to her fate. I don't think, call it brainwashing, call it what you will, but she is, even though her husband has basically disappeared.
Manson, I need to find a woman like that.
Yes, you do.
Maybe, Manson, maybe I need to go down there and join Scientology today. I want the Miscavis therapy to my wife program. I want to learn how to run bitches like the boss does around here. What if I walked in, Tony, and said, I want to learn how to run bitches like the boss around here? What would they say to me?
They'd ask you to take a personality test, and they'd tell you you're really messed up.
Right. Manson, I need to get under as fast as I possibly can and take a personality test. I'll have them so screwed up with all my nonsense.
Now they'll treat you right. You're a celebrity here.
No, they will not. They'll try to kill me. Do they kill people, Tony? And they killed that McPherson chick, didn't they?
They locked a woman up in a room for 17 days, and she died of dehydration.
Lisa McPherson.
20 years ago this year. But, that was more neglect than murder, I believe. I think they actually thought they were helping her, and it turns out that she died from it.
Can they keep you there again? Let's say you're in the Clearwater Cut. You're up in the one of those, 150-square-foot apartments, the Lisa McPherson suite, and, they think that you're full-blown, like they're helping you. Can you say, literally, I want to go home. I'm walking out of this place right now. My buddy's picking me up. Can you do that, or they stop you?
Well, the people that are really kind of caught inside are the Sea Org workers. They're the ones that signed contracts for 1 billion years.
How many years?
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
Manson, your new contract I just proposed to you is a Scientology deal.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll never leave.
And they find it very difficult to leave, and some of them have had to make pretty dramatic escapes to get out.
They have armed security there, don't they?
Yeah, they have great security. They hire the best. They have former Justice Department people, former FBI people.
So you don't just walk out, Bubba.
They call it a blow drill. And somebody...
Ned, you're doing that this weekend, aren't you, Ned?
At the house. Got a blow drill going on.
Got a blow drill?
When somebody escapes, they use these private investigators to hunt people down by the use of their credit cards and that kind of thing. They have a whole elaborate system for tracking people down and bringing them back.
So if I'm at the Lisa McPherson suite this weekend because I'm signed up and I'm trying to give my life to Scientology, and all of a sudden, my buddy Fabrizi calls, and he says, man, let me break you out. We're going to the dollhouse tonight.
You can't go.
I can't go? I can't walk out of there?
No.
Tony, because I signed $1 billion deal?
But for some of these lifers that have signed billion-dollar contracts, yeah, it's great. They don't have access to phones. They don't have access to computers. They are sealed off from the outside world.
Can you pick up the phone and call anybody?
No, they don't have access to a telephone.
Manson, how can this be legal? How can the Clearwater PD or the LAPD or whatever? How are they not investigating that you can't treat people like that?
It's a church, they don't like to get involved with that. Well, look at the Catholic Church. Look at the Catholic Church. They've been doing that for decades.
I mean, what Scientology doing is a far cry. I mean, Scientology is that's like romper room compared to the Catholic Church, right?
It is.
I mean,
in 1953, L. Ron Hubbard wrote a letter to one of his supporters and said, let's try the religion angle. He literally said it that cynically.
Angle. Let's try the religion angle.
It works.
Like it's pro wrestling. Tony Ortega on the phone, TonyOrtega.org. Tony, I got to thank you, man. And updates, as you get more information and you get, more stuff and various, news stories that you're breaking and anything to do with Scientology, man, call us up. We're in their own.
I've got a book coming out next month about Paulette Cooper, the woman who suffered more retaliation from Scientology than any other. It's called The Unbreakable Miss Lovely. I'd love to talk to you about it.
Give me a little tease as to who Paulette Cooper was. Did she?
Paulette Cooper wrote the first popular expose about Scientology, a book in 1971 called The Scandal of Scientology. They then set out to destroy her before it. And they were running various operations against her for 15 years. It almost killed her. She was, at one point, she was indicted and facing 15 years in federal prison for a crime she did not commit that they framed her for. And it all came out in FBI documents later on. It's an incredible story of how one woman survived this onslaught from the Church of Scientology.
And you got a book about that. And when you get closer to its release date, week of or 2 weeks prior, call me up so we can talk in depth about that particular subject. Okay, buddy?
I would love to.
Tony, man, thank you for being on the air.
Hey, it was great. I really enjoyed it.
And I'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to you when that book, a couple weeks or so when that book comes out. Okay, kid?
Thanks a lot, Bubba.
Bye now. Appreciate it. TJ, you got some Scientology info, or at least I should say an opinion?
Yeah, well, actually, so just some information, man. I'm 37 now. When I was 20, I worked for a guy who owned a paint company, and he had gotten a job somehow, and we were working for the Scientology people over in St. Pete in one of their buildings. And whenever we were there, they had about 20 or 30 people that were from another country, and they were there to help us. Everybody had bag lunches, and they made us take their help, and that's what they did all day. They helped us, and they went back to a place, and they went to sleep.
Wow. So it's just like they're little robots. They're Scientology robots that cannot stray, if you will.
And we had very strict orders. We couldn't talk about outside stuff. We couldn't show them. We couldn't give them our phone. And the owner, actually, because we had been working for him for a little while, wanted to join the Scientology for some reason. And he was pretty well off, and they actually told him no because he didn't make enough money.
So they're not interested in Joe P. Swinging a hammer deal. They want to suck you dry, and you better have a lot of money, or they're not going to want to suck it.
Man,
yes,
appreciate it. I think we need to embed Tuttle.
You can try, but the thing is that once Tuttle starts to bring him down, they'll start attacking them.
Oh, they will?
Personally,
Tuttle always gets attacked. I mean, have you seen Twitter? Everybody hates Tuttle. Jim, hello.
Hey, Bubba.
Which, by the way, hold on, Jim, hold on. If anybody's got any, Manson, we might have stumbled upon something here because obviously this is a Scientology mecca, and there's a lot of people that, Tony said that 99% of people defect from that. So my phone lines are already packed up. If you got any Scientology information or you used to be one, I can put you on protection as well so nobody knows your identity, including the Scientologists. But call me up, 1-888-69-BUBBA. Jim, hello.
Hey, Bubba. I worked for an electrical company about 10 years ago, and we did a demo remodel there in their ballroom. They got this big ballroom there. And when we went there and showed up, they said, number one, you can't have any phones. They searched everything we had. When we went to work, if you had to use we were watched by 3 security guards, all armed. If you had to go to the bathroom, they called somebody. You had to wait. They would come. They were an armed security guard. They would bring you to the bathroom, and they would watch you go to the bathroom.
They'd watch you whip out your penis?
They would watch you whip out your penis to make sure you weren't pulling out recording devices.
Boy,
or
man,
Dad,
like can you imagine if you put on a show for them? Would you not, Dad?
Possibly.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was crazy.
All right, buddy. Jim, thank you. Is it Kristen?
It's Christian.
Christian, how are you?
Good, Bubba. How are y'all?
I got Jason as well. Said he worked inside the church. Look at all the crazies come out. Love to get this. And by the way, this drives him insane. 25, we need to dig out the e-meter and take some pictures and post it today.
Okay.
I mean, if we really want to, irritate the haters. Go ahead, Kristen, or Christian, whatever your name is.
I had a quick question. I work in healthcare, let's say a facility down the road there, and we get a lot of their followers inside this said facility, and they get medical treatment paid cash on site, and not a single one of them has been an American. They've all been Hungarian, Czechoslovakian, Russian, people that have no money that are being bussed into this country that don't speak our language.
Well, maybe that's what Scientology is regulated on down to now. The Americans are finally onto their deal, and now they have to get these Prussian Russians over here. That's great.
Well, no, they're international, though. They're in a lot of different countries.
That's the last thing we need, a bunch of Prussian Russians over here.
Yeah, I don't understand what their endpoint is when they're busing all these people in that don't necessarily have money for health care. I mean, paying for chemo treatments that are thousands of dollars in infusion, just outrageous things that we could never pay for.
And boom, they scratch a check. No big deal.
No big deal.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Jason, hello.
Hey, Bubba. How are you?
Good, sir. Thank you.
I did an event for the Scientologists inside of their church, and you could not have a normal conversation with another person there because they hear everything you say. Everything is bugged, just like, everything, the whole kitchen, the bathrooms, the hallways, they can hear everything you say at any time.
Just because they're so paranoid, or what?
They don't want their. I'm assuming they don't want their secrets to come out because you would ask questions like I would say, so is it true that you can't leave the church? And you'd ask you ask the questions that you might have seen or heard about, and they give you these answers. And the next day, my boss would come to me and say, hey, you can't ask those people those questions. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
So a private conversation you had with fellow coworker Willie. all of a sudden, after you, the next day, your boss will come by and pretty much verbatim tell you what you can't say based on what you said.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. I mean, the church is gigantic. There are these pills next to the water fountains, and you say, what are these? They go, oh, these are vitamins for brain strength, they call them.
What?
Probably Xanax.
Yeah, who knows?
Dad, we need to go get some pills.
Yeah.
Take some drinks.
I'm going to join.
Keith,
Yeah.
Jason, good talking to you. Keith, man, everybody's got information. I want to talk to former members. I don't want to talk to, general contractors that painted the front door.
May be hard to find formers.
Yeah, true. They'll go ahead and
They still live in the area. Area.
Keith, hello. You going to the night game tonight, 25, the Orioles?
I don't know. I need to get tickets. Yeah, I think I'm going to go.
Call up Callie.
No, well, I mean,
Promotion guy, Beasley.
I got some buddies of mine I think that are going to go.
Callie will take care of you. Call Harris, Callie. Keith, hello. Keith, hello.
Hey, what's up, Bubba? How are you?
What's up, buddy? Thanks.
I used to work for a Scientologist in Clearwater by the church, and let me tell you, man, these people are crazy.
So you worked for the Church of Scientology?
No, I used to work for a company that the owners were Scientologists.
Oh, okay.
But they were really, really. I mean, they had this back in the building in the back. They had this closed door that says "Absolutely do not enter," and they would go back there for like a half an hour. And I've always wanted to go back there and see what it was about.
I got to be honest with you, Manson. If you and I were like regular jobber workers, and there was a place that said absolutely under no circumstances, I would be dying to get back there. Would you not?
Hell yeah.
Be like, hey, Mike, do you know what's back there? No, I don't. I've got to get in there. Ned, can you drill a glory hole or something there so we can see?
I'd be obsessed with it.
Well, you know what I did, Bob? I actually, when they left for the day, one of my friends and I were like, listen, let's go back there and like take a picture. But I was like so afraid to go back there. I had no idea what was going to happen.
Manson, I'm going to put that sign on my office door here. Absolutely under no circumstances are you to come back this door. Keith, man, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Patrick, hello. Boy, Manson, note to radio self. Anytime we're a little bit, dead, just bring in how shady is Scientology and call with your questions or your answers.
They come out of the woodwork.
My God, these crazy bastards. Patrick, Craig, John, racked up. Patrick, hello.
Hey, Bubba. I was just recently at their facility down in Clearwater, and they actually have their own bank there. And we were doing work in there, and we were constantly monitored. I mean, there was always somebody watching us.
They got more money, man. They got more security guard. Does the guy have a gun?
No, they're just weird, and they just like eyeballed it, and they had like a headset on where they could communicate wherever they're communicating with.
Right. Thank you, Patrick. Craig and John, again, I got all these guys that have worked within the building. We get it. They're weird. They watch you. They know everything you're saying and doing. They got Janet Jackson-like headsets. They got pills at the drinking fountain. Mm-hmm. Tell me something that I don't know. Craig, hello.
Hey, Bubba, how you doing?
Good, buddy. Thanks.
Hey, I only got the last one in the interview, so I don't know if he talked about this or not. But you also look up Operation Snow White. It's when the Scientologists actually tried to infiltrate the United
That's usually
States
Ned's Sunday night, isn't it, Ned?
Yes, it is.
Operation Snow White's usually Ned's Saturday or Sunday. So we're supposed to look that up, and what is it?
It's basically a huge conspiracy, criminal conspiracy that the Church of Scientology did in the 70s. They actually tried to infiltrate all levels of the United States government back then. There was a whole FBI investigation on it and everything.
I don't understand how these weirdos have skirted and got away with everything that they do, screwing with the government. And, the FBI being as kick-ass as they are, and how they can sniff out anything. To me, I just don't understand how these people have skirted
got a lot of money.
Well, from what this operation did, from what he was talking about, is that they gathered all the information. So when the government came at them for taxes, that was when a lot of different cases started coming out about the government, because that was information that was...
so they were trying to watchdog the government?
Yeah.
And so that they would say, okay, listen, government, you want to try to get us for $1 billion in tax evasion, but here's what we know about you.
Right.
Please.
Well, I mean, that's when a lot more cases started coming out against the United States government altogether.
Wow. John, hello. They got some balls on them, do they not?
Hey, Bubba.
Yeah.
They got the money to burn.
I'm a member of Scientology, and a lot of things, a lot of misinformation is coming out right now.
Fantastic. You know what? I got a live one on the hook here. So what are we missing, John?
Well, I'll tell you what. I joined about 10 years ago.
Have they sucked you dry for every penny that you got?
I don't have a lot of money, and that's the thing. Is a lot of people are saying, well, they won't take you. I just bought a book, and I started the basic courses there. And I'll tell you what, man, they really stuck stuck with me and helped me get back on my feet.
All right, John. So let's go through this. Let's go through your progression, okay? You weren't doing so swell 10 years ago, and you just bought a book, right?
Yeah, I was curious about it, and I basically approached the place like it was some cult. I approached it that way at first.
Did you walk right in? Did you walk right into the front door?
Yeah, I was afraid. This was back when it was on Henderson, back in South Tampa.
Right.
And they had a movie theater in there, and I went in there, and I was really freaked out. I thought it was like, science fiction. So I was looking at it from that perspective.
Well, John, it kind of is science fiction. You're looking for some thetans, and you think when you become totally clear.
But they don't tell you until years later.
I know, but like it is science fiction. You try to become totally clear so that you can become a thetan to detach your body and turn into a hammer and then go back to your body. I mean, John, I hate to got news for you, kid. It kind of is.
They told me that I could never become clear because I had done LSD.
Oh, well, there you go. They're going to keep sucking you dry.
Yeah, well, I mean, they didn't suck me dry. They actually helped me a lot, and they gave me some good information to use. And
but John, John, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Had you just maybe gotten your act together as a man and kind of like for the intestinal fortitude that most men have, most responsible men, and just tried to do the right thing in life, and not I don't think that you need a course or a book or a group of people for you to turn your life around, but you think that you did, and I don't think that they really did anything that remarkable. I just think that you got your act together. They may have helped, but anybody can help themselves.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that too, and that makes sense. But
how much do you think?
I just felt like I was broken, and I had a lot of misinformation come from other places. I had looked in other places like churches, and they helped me. Basically, they helped me communicate better. They helped me. I didn't go down the path of psychiatry. People are going down the path of psychiatry, and they're taking these pills, and that's why we have a crazy world we live in, if you ask me.
Right. All right, John. Well, how much do you think in your 10 years you've given these people?
Maybe $1,500, $2,000
in 10 years. You've given them $2,000. Well, I mean, hey, John.
Yeah,
I'm
the basic courses.
Now, have they reached out? Or are you being introduced, or what exactly do you do on a weekly basis with the Scientologists?
Well,
like, what are your duties?
After you do the courses, they do try to get you to work for them. So what they did was they pulled me aside and they talked to me, and they were like, "Hey, we'll give you we'll pay for a tailor to fit you in some suits, and we want you to talk to the public." So they tried to put me to work to pay for some more expensive courses, and I basically told them that I wasn't into it, that the stuff that I was getting already was helping, and and I just I wanted to stick with that. But I put both my feet in with anything you do in life. If you don't put both feet in, you're not going to get the.
But see, John, they've already given up on you. Once you told them no, and they know that they know that you actually were a guy that got help from their courses. I'm sure some of their courses are cool. It's probably pretty much common sense, but you got help from the courses.
Yeah.
And then you moved on. They're not messing with you now because they know that you've told them no and you don't got a lot of money. Had you have a lot of money, if you owned a car dealership or you were loaded, they'd keep just wearing you out trying to get you to join. But since you have not taken it to the next level, they're not going to obviously tell you to pack sand because they want to sell you a $29 book next week.
But you're still base model.
Yeah, you're base model. You really don't matter to them. They've already quit you, John. You can't quit.
I'm sure they have hundreds of thousands of guys like him.
You're right.
Given $1,500.
You're right, Manson. You're right.
But he's not.
But they also have Manson hundreds of thousands of guys that gave him $100,000.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win. John, here's what you don't understand. Don't get mad at me. You can't quit them because they've already quit you.
I wouldn't say that.
I would. I'd say that they figured out that you're a rube with no money. They're going to keep selling you that $29 book. Jimmy, you're on protection. Hello.
How you doing, Bubba?
I got you on protection. Hello.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I was in a relationship for a long time with someone who worked and became a Scientologist. And I'm going to tell you what, a lot of them are freaks, man. Real freaks in the bedroom.
Oh, so you're talking about, so you're with a woman or a man?
I was with a woman.
All right, you were with a woman, and she said while you're dating her, she decides to become a Scientologist.
Yes.
All right, so she starts going through the courses and becoming Scientology. Did you see your sex life get more freakier once she was able to,
No. She was lost track. Let me get on my story. So she worked for them, and it got in real good with them. And there's a lot of different levels, and she got really good friends with the higher level Scientologists. And we went to move one of her bosses one time, and I'm telling you, we found vibrators all over the house, in the couches, in the chairs, closets, everywhere we went.
So you went to her Scientology boss's place, and there were vibrators strewn around the house like they were like they were coasters.
like couch food, college grads with the pepperoni pizza.
Well, do you think Scientology on the upper level might be a front for swinging?
Could be.
Boy, Mance, I never heard that before, but maybe leave it to this show to bring that revelation out. That Scientology on the upper level is made for modern-day sex parties and swinging.
I'm sure they're a bunch of weirdos.
So, sir, what are you insinuating? That they just like to do, possess a lot of dildos? Or are you saying that they're having full-blown sex parties, that they're swapping? What's your allegation? What are you saying?
Your guess is as good as mine on that one.
And, no, hold on. I'm like,
well, you said they're freaks in the bed. What exactly did you go through? What happened with you? What was she into the Cleveland Steamer?
25 easy. My God.
Dump that? I'm sorry.
No, I don't have to dump it, but I think I need to stop you.
I was going a little crazy.
Is Ned writing your questions for you? Ned, are you writing 25's questions?
I slipped him a note.
Well, when you call
25, never take notes from Ned.
But the fool called in on protection, and he ain't really giving you nothing.
I don't think that opens up you up to a Cleveland Steamer. I'm thinking it's opened up to the fact that you don't want anybody to know who he is.
If you calling on protection, talking about Scientologists are freaky in bed. I want to hear something more than freaks in the bed.
I think we can talk about freaks.
Vibrators on the couch.
I think that's where you draw the line, guys. You don't go to the Cleveland Steamer or two girls in a cup. I think you step it right there. You stop at the vibrator deal.
Well, what's the point of talking about it?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you the point of talking about it. The point is we're going to have a job tomorrow. That's the point of talking about it. Manson, can you step in with me here?
Yeah, we just need to move along.
Yeah, okay, Ned, let's talk about Cleveland Steamers all day. We ain't going to be on the air tomorrow.
25 are going to go talk about this, and you guys can continue talking.
You and 25 can be on Mad Monkey today and talk about Cleveland Steamers all you want. I don't think I necessarily need to be bringing that subject matter up.
I thought it was a minor league in Cleveland in the 1950s.
So you thought you had the Mudcats and the Steamer, the Cleveland Steamers?
Cleveland Steamers, man, they were good.
And the Mudcats?
Jimmy, what did you call about, you son of a bitch? You dated a girl, she's a freak. She was a Scientology. You went to a party of her bosses. They had vibrators. She kicked it out wide for Xenu. The whole 9 yards, right, Jimmy? Get off my phone, you idiot. And you made 25 talk about Cleveland Steamers.
Well,
blaming it on the
listeners. He didn't call with any meat.
He didn't. He really didn't.
Mark, hello.
Those skimpy-ass ribs, man.
25. Next time we have a phone call in the air, then just say, listen, bitch, you ain't got no meat. Don't go to the Cleveland Steamer deal to solidify the non-meatness. Let's just go, man, bitch, you ain't got no meat. Them are some skinny ribs. That works for me. Not, man, homie, so she's in the Cleveland Steamers.
Well, calling it on protection.
Ned,
I got you, though. I'll do it, though.
Cleveland Steamers, we're talking about, of course, that 1955 AAA squad out of Cleveland, right?
No, they were single A, man.
Oh, they were just single A.
Yeah.
Barely hanging on, huh?
Yep.
Single A, the Cleveland Steamers.
Barely hanging on.
Ned, I'd like to get you a baseball card to say that you actually played shortstop for the Cleveland Steamers back in '68. Ned, would that be, that could almost be your promotional card. You dressed up
I love it.
You dressed up like in a brown uniform.
One of those real cheesy old uniforms.
Look like a paper bag,
Yep.
Look like a burlap sack. Remember that? And Ned, I heard you were the starting shortstop for the '56 Cleveland Steamers.
I was.
With a golden glove. Or something. Something was golden. I don't know if it was glove. Mark, hello.
Hey, Bubba.
Just for those scoring at home, this is the only radio show that can turn a Scientology interview into a Cleveland Steamer minor league baseball franchise from 1956. That's how we roll. Mark, hello.
Hey, I hear a lot of themes with the people who are calling, but mostly it's people still fear what they don't understand. And two, most of these people do work for the Church of Scientology. They outsource a lot of their stuff. Downtown Clearwater would look like Detroit right now if it wasn't for them. I think they get a bad rap. Not one war has been started over this so-called religion, like all the other fake ones.
Hey, you know what? Great point on that.
I mean, I deliver to all their buildings. I see nothing but smiling, happy faces. If anybody's in duress, they've never conveyed it to me ever, not once. I've not seen anything.
So you work there? You work there?
Well, I deliver for a company to all their buildings, like their mills and.
Well, yeah, they can't say anything to you because the whole entire building's mic'd up, and as soon as I say, hey, worker.
I do go through them buildings. I see a lot of people.
Shut up, Mark. I'm saying something right now, you idiot. What I'm saying is like, Johnny Janitor there. You can't say, hey, buddy, can you help me?
Yeah, I'd love it if they did.
But they can't because they'll get a guy like Ty-J will come tackle him immediately. They can't even say, hey, buddy, I know you're dropping off some stuff. Can you smuggle me in your van?
Allegedly, people get paid like 80 cents a day.
Yeah.
So even when I'm wandering around the property, though, no one ever confronts me. It's like, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing back here? I never.
They know what you're doing, buddy. They saw the surveillance of you bringing the delivery.
They know you're wandering, but they know where you came from.
That you're Johnny Stealth, my friend. They know exactly what you're supposed to.
You're a rube, buddy.
Thank you.
Like the Zephyr Hills guy going around the building.
Everything looks okay here.
Let me throw it over to the Ned. You are our rube department. Now tell this guy what's wrong with him.
You guys are a complete rube.
I got Tim. He needs protection. You're on protection. Hello, Tim.
All right, Bubba. This is Tim. Thank you very much. I got two very short stories.
And you're on protection as well, Tim. You sound like Darth Vader.
All right. Yes, the girls are the freaks. I was dating a hot strawberry blonde redheaded gal with a serious full redheaded bush.
Tim, can we call that like pubic region that had a I was dating a Tim, let me show you how to radio that up, okay? Hello, Bubba, this is Tim, and I was dating this freak. She was redheaded and her pubic region matched the head on top of her hair.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it was just like the shrubbery out in the front of your yard.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. It was quite plentiful, if you will.
Yes.
Yes.
I took her up flying and made her part of the Mile High Club at 5,500 feet over Plant City.
Yeah. Were you driving like a little 172?
Yep.
Yep.
Actually, no, it was a Piper Warrior.
Yep.
And 3 different positions and all the other kind of stuff.
Right, we got you. Stuff.
Yep.
5,500 up 5,500. IFR,
Shrubbery.
say it. IFR 5,500.
Shrubbery.
It was VFR because I was visual on everything.
Yes.
Inside and outside.
Yes. Total visual. VFR 5,500 below 12,000.
The other story. Oh, and I got her to pay for half the airplane.
Right. So she pays for the fuel and ramp fees. No problem.
She invited me into Scientology for New Year's, and all over in that place are all these busts of L. Ron Hubbard, and it was just kind of freaky and weird. We went up to the second floor.
So you take it to the next level, and you got one of these busts of L. Ron Hubbard, and you hollowed out the mouth out area, and you and her went to town on the deal in the bathroom, and next thing you know, security came in and pummeled both of you.
Nope. We went up to the second floor, and there's this office. It has 3 glass walls. And it's a L. Ron Hubbard office, and it's all set up, makes it look like he just got up to go use the bathroom. There's a glass of water that's 3/4 full. There's a notepad with a pen that looks like you just stopped in the middle of a sentence, had to go.
What a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah. Did you put him on the glass?
No, hold on. Hold on. Ned's got a great question. Ned, what do you got?
Did you or her put him on the glass?
No. But what I did is I went into the office, I took a sip of the water, and I wrote on the pad, Ron, all my best, T.
I don't believe you. There's no way I believe you, buddy, because you would have been, Ty-J would have been tackling you in a minute.
Oh, no, we were all by ourselves. There was nobody else around. She had a cow. It was a New Year's Eve party, so the place was kind of open, and I was with her, so I was under her escort, but she had a cow.
Stop calling me on the phone, you mother...
Man, they got that place so locked down. You can't go in there and write Ron Hubbard notes and take a sip of his water, you idiot. And they probably got the water full cyanide Willie in case somebody does do that. You die immediately. You dumbass.
Light up the darkness. Luckily, Cheap Heat has a very low flash point.
I'm burning. My lungs are burning.
We'll be back to the Bubba Radio Network